I know you're probably like, why on earth would you even consider using this setup? Why would you waste your time to sit down and play with a setup that probably is going to suck? Well, I'm here to tell you guys, the setup right here is awesome. I wouldn't go into a competitive game with it, but it's fun and it gets the job done, and I think that's all that really matters. Because in Battlefield, we're getting a little bit stale here. We're waiting for the DLC. There's not a lot of fresh things to do in Battlefield, and I was like, I'm gonna try this out because I was looking at the scatter plots, the accuracy plots on some of the lower fire rate weapons with the flash suppressor, like the AK-74M, the L85A2, which is what you see before you. And I noticed that the pattern went from being like a dude with a giant afro, like a circle in the center and then like a giant afro bloom atop of it, to like a oval shape where the majority of the shots reached in the middle and the rest kind of just patterned out into an oval. And I was like, that doesn't really increase the accuracy a ton, but it does group the shots a lot better. And that got me thinking, maybe the AK-74M, maybe the L85 would be decent with the flash suppressor. And much to my surprise, they actually worked fairly well. Because they don't have a whole lot of vertical recoil, and they don't really have a whole lot of side-to-side recoil, so not a lot of recoil at all, which made them even better of a candidate for the infrared scope. So that is the setup I'm using here: flash suppressor, infrared scope, and the L85. And it is awesome, guys. Like, I actually enjoy doing this. Like, I was telling my buddy, I was like, man, I got this awesome game. I'm super excited that I could finally sit down and get a good game with this setup, because I've been talking about it for a while. I don't know if I've mentioned it in the video, but I've been trying this for a while. Like, I've tried to fool around with it, and I just can't seem to get into lobbies that people aren't playing like absolute jerks. And I'm talking to you M26 guys. I think it's funny, speaking of the M26, I was in a game yesterday night when we were trying to get some scrims, and we were going against a team where everybody was using the M26, and they were saying troll lol as if it was like supposed to be funny, as if it was supposed to be like some sort of troll, when really, if you use the M26, you're not really trolling anybody but yourself, because all you're doing is admitting that you're a bad player. I mean, honestly, the M26 is just like a douche class. I mean, it's just as simple as that. I would say it's just as bad as the USAS. If you were anti-USAS but you use the M26, you might be a kind of a hypocrite, because I don't think the USAS could kill you from the distance that I've seen people get killed from the N26. But anyways, that's besides the point. We're talking about the L85 infrared flash suppressor. And if you don't believe me, try this class out. It's actually pretty decent. It's probably one of the best long-range assault rifles there is, if not the best. And I know flash suppressor, like, oh, it's going to reduce the accuracy at longer ranges. No, I've already explained. Before you comment, even though I've explained it, I will explain it twice. For some reason, the flash suppressor tends to work on these low fire rate weapons like the 74M and the even the G3 it works decently on. So it's a nice combo to kind of reduce that upward climb and make it easier to shoot people at longer ranges. And the infrared used to suck. Like, it used to be one of the best scopes in the game. It was a little bit overpowered because you could see people from so far away with it, but they nerfed it to the point where nobody used it. Well, they rebalanced it a little bit, made it a little bit better. They made it work better in darker environments. So especially here on Downvavon Peak, once you get into the tunnel, Turan Highway, any of those maps are it's going to work fairly decently on it, a little bit longer ranges. And it's really, you would think, since it has like this giant scope, that it's like doing all this zoom and it's going to bounce around. No, it actually does not zoom. It is actually the exact same zoom as if you were just aiming down sight. So it's going to be a lot easier to stay on target. And in my experiences personally, I found that it really doesn't have any bounce at all. Like, especially if you hold your breath, you can keep the scope from kind of bouncing around, and it works really, really well. And this is one of my most enjoyable setups right now. Like, if you're asking me, like, hey, what would you want to run around with and just play for fun, this is going to be the setup I pick. Now, some people might put foregrip on this. I think that's kind of silly, personally. I don't. All I run it with is the flash suppressor and the infrared scope, because the aim fire is going to be somewhat important. And once you put that flash suppressor and the grip on there, you kind of start to see where it's not going to work so hot. So I know another advantage might be to put on the heavy barrel, because the heavy barrel would increase the accuracy, the aim fire accuracy, and it would increase the damage drop off so that it doesn't drop off as fast, which means it's going to be deadly at longer ranges for a longer period of time. But like I said, personally, flash suppressor is the way to go. You don't see many people running flash suppressor. It's a nice little, quirky setup here, and try it out. I mean, I wouldn't use this in Project PTFO just because if you're going against a whole team of tryhards, you're probably going to get pwned pretty hard. So, I mean, it's fun, but it's not competitive, but it does get the job done, and that's all that's really important. But speaking of Project PTFO, I did record some scrim/practice games last night. Unfortunately, my mic broke. Yes, I know, disappointing. I am using that same mic, I fixed it, but the stand that it goes on broke to the point where I couldn't have it positioned so that it didn't sound like my keys were, right next to you. So I will have to work on that, and hopefully if we do some more tonight, we can kind of get that squared away to the point where I can give you guys some scrims to take a look at, kind of sit down and see how we're operating. I did talk to some of the guys. I think we are going to use real weapons in at least attempt to try to win it. I was considering using the G3, but I think I'm just going to use, the normal assault rifles that everybody else uses, just because I know that's what everybody is going to be using, so I might as well jump on the same wagon and at least try to compete. I think I might change it up, though, in the assault rifle class. I might not use the M16. I might work on, maybe the M16A4, which is garbage, but, at least it'd be a little bit different, or maybe the AK-74M. Just to kind of get some of that Flava Flav out there. But I'm not going to use the G3, unfortunately. I tried it out in some of the scrims, and I was just getting absolutely pummeled, just because the magazine on that thing is so small, and it tends to be where there's one person, there's more people, and having a 20-round magazine is not very efficient to taking out multiple targets. So hopefully I'll get some good scrims. If not, I will promise you guys I will record our actual games. A lot of people are going to be live streaming their games. I will not be. That's because I don't want to take such a performance hit on the on my computer trying to actually play a competitive game and streaming, but I will record it, and I will record the audio commentary so you guys can check that out. It should be pretty awesome. I think we have a good team. There are two laid-back guys, which is all that really matters to me, and should be a good time. But try out this setup. I mean, you may actually enjoy it, because I certainly enjoy it. It's kind of quirky, but I led the league here with the most points, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.